Hey everybody, welcome back to the Back to Bits podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always, D-Pad Danny. What's up, Danny?
Not too much, John. How you doing, buddy?
I am better. I'm glad I have a voice tonight. I didn't know if I was going to
Right.
have a voice at all, so I've had the crud for most of the week. So, like everybody else, I think everybody else has about had the crud at one point or another with stupid weather. So,
Right.
but hey, you go get some medicine at the doctor, and fix you right up. So.
That's how you got to do it.
That's what you got to do sometimes. It
Yeah.
was earlier this week. I said it like I was a 12-year-old kid going through puberty when I was talking to people. It was ridiculous. It was like, hey, I gotta tell you what. It's like, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. But hopefully my voice will last through the whole thing. We'll find out. This afternoon it didn't, so we'll see.
Right.
But that's all right. But well, let's start off with what we always start off with. Any pickups or anything that we've gotten. Danny, I'm going to let you go first again because you actually got some games to talk about.
All right. Yeah. My best friend he had pre-ordered Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 on the Switch,
Yeah.
the enhanced editions. And he was tired of waiting for them, so he went ahead and downloaded it and just, he was impatient, so he wanted to
Yeah.
play it. And so he let me know, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to have this physical when it comes out. Do you want it?" And I'm like, Psh, "I'm not going to turn down free games." So,
Shoot, no, especially if it's
yes,
free.
right. And so, so he sent that, and I got that. So that's pretty nice. I haven't really cracked into it, and I haven't really played a ton of Baldur's Gate. I
Yeah.
think I played a little bit of the second one on PC back in the day, but it's not something I had heavily invested in like I did with like the Diablo series or
Right.
anything like that.
Yeah. It's an excellent
But
game. They are excellent games. I bought it. It was either Black Friday or after Christmas or something. And anyway, it was on sale for like $20. They had one
oh,
and two,
nice.
and then they had the other two, and I think now there's the other. I think the other ones are out. I think they got the whole D&D series out now. I think there's like 6 of them. So
Right, they got like the Neverwinter Nights
Neverwinter
1 and
Nights,
2.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I forget what the other one was. The other two are. I don't know. I played those games 100 years ago when I first got a PC, but I haven't played them since until the Switch versions came out. I just barely tried it just to see how well it worked on console, and it works pretty well. So
Yeah, and that's what I was curious about because that's like I said, I compare it to Diablo, but Diablo's a lot more action oriented, where Baldur's Gate was always a lot more strategic. There was more stats involved and stuff, so I was kind of
yeah,
curious about how it would transfer to the Switch as well. So it's good to hear that it's a decent translation
yeah,
at
it's
least.
not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Usually that was a good heavy mouse and keyboard game, so
right, exactly.
it's not too bad with the Joy Cons or controller. So.
Well, like I said, that's good to hear because I mean, I have other Switch games I haven't even opened, so there's no
Uh,
telling at what point I'm finally actually going to get around to
I
doing it.
understand. I open all mine, but I don't always play
Yeah,
them.
yeah. And another thing I got was, I take part of the Elite tournament series. It's a speed running tournament with some friends on Twitch. If that sounds interesting to you, check out Angry Larry, twitch.tv/Angry Larry. He runs up the whole thing. We have a lot of fun. We run a lot of different games. And when the Olympic season is around, we do the one-off Olympic season. We usually just have a standard tournament style bracket.
Yeah.
But we're doing an Olympic thing, and there's multiple events with multiple games. And one of the games that's an optional one that anyone can participate in is Kickmaster, and that's the finale. It's a 10-week thing, and that's the one on the last week. And I was like, you know what? That's one I've been meaning to pick up. So I went ahead and I picked it up. So it came in today, and I actually was playing it a little bit before we started streaming. It's not bad. It's pretty fun, but it seems a little challenging at a first glance, so I'm going to have to play it a lot to
I don't remember this game at all.
really.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
not up
it's
on my NES games. I was more of a Sega guy
right.
back in the day. So,
Sure.
is it a platformer or is it a?
Yeah, it's an action platformer, but all your moves are kicks. It's weird.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking at it right now. I'm looking at a video right now. That does look kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I got to the third stage so far. Second stage took me quite a bit to get through, but it
Yeah.
seems like it has potential. I don't know how it'll be as a speed run, but it seems like the controls are kind of lofty. Like when you jump, you can control the distance of your jump or the height of your jump with the A, letting go of the A button sooner, but
Yeah.
feels like you're really floaty. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, yeah. But it seems pretty cool so far. It's Taito, you can't go wrong there.
No, no, you can't. Yeah, this looks really neat. I'll have to fire it
Yeah.
up on the old EverDrive. That's the one thing I wish the EverDrive had. I wish it had like a shuffle thing where I could just go shuffle and it would just go pull a random game and I could just play it instead of
Right.
me actually going through all the files and going, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that I won't click on just because of the name of it. I would rather it just throw me out one and to say, hey, try this one out. So maybe that's something.
Well, that's an interesting thing. I mean, maybe you should tweet that out and see if somebody wants to incorporate that in something.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they can or not. But that would be cool if they could. I wouldn't. I wouldn't see why not. But maybe it'd be based on file names or something. I don't know. But who knows? But yeah, but that one looks pretty cool. I'll add it. I'll add it to the list. Usually when I'm playing games, especially on the EverDrive that I might not, own. So I'll jot down the name of it so I don't forget what it is. Of course, I lost my list the other day when I was testing the RetroTink 2X Pro. So it was like, man, there was this one game on the TurboGrafx I really like to play. I can't remember the name of it.
No, I can't
and
think
I
of it.
Yeah, and I couldn't think of it. It's like, crap. All right, well, I'll just have to sit down someday. And then I found my list afterwards. I'm like, oh yeah, that was the name of that game. So, and now I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember what the name of the game is. So there you go.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, right?
Yeah.
If you only knew now.
I've got so much room in my brain to remember things. So yeah.
I hear you. I would have more pickups to talk about, but some stuff got delayed in the mail. So hopefully, come next time, I'll have some goodies to talk about. But at this point, that's pretty much it for me. Have you picked up anything or anything to speak of?
I got the RetroTink 2X Pro, like I
Right.
mentioned on the last episode. It finally came in and I hooked it up. Played. It's fantastic. And I sent you a picture. I'm not usually the type of guy that likes scanline generators.
Right.
If I want scan lines, I'm going to play on my my PVM. But I thought, well, I'll see what it looks like. Man,
Check it out.
Yeah, they looked really, really good. It was very, very convincing that it was they were actually in the game. It wasn't just a generator.
Nice.
And I'm playing it on a 4K 65-inch TV. The NES. So
Right.
they got to look. They got to look good on that. If they look good on that, then they'll look good on anything. But
Sure.
it's a great little upgrade. Some of the games that had color issues, for me at least, and it could have just been my TV, like Mario would have the blue would be weird looking. It'd be kind of too bright or something like that. And I thought, well, maybe it's just the TV, not the RetroTink. Because you get different compatibility issues with LCD TVs. Some are better than others.
Sure.
But the Pro thing, I mean, they look perfect. All of them. I haven't seen a game on it yet that doesn't have that doesn't look perfect.
Nice.
Still not a fan of the smoothing, but I never am. So I don't like the smoothing of any of that. But if they when they get them back in stock, if you're looking for one, buy one. If you don't have a 2X or you're looking to upgrade your 2X. I know they're having an issue with getting some of that stuff back in stock because of the coronavirus over in China. A lot of the factories have shut down. So
my wife works in logistics. She knows. I know all about that. She's been talking about it. It's been hard to get parts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mew Mew Fan 152 for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's that kind of stuff is wild, So they've they shut down a lot of the production factories. So stuff like that is. I even read that the Nintendo Switch consoles are running low on the regular Switches because they're coming out of China and they've had to shut down the factory. So they're selling more. They're selling more of the. All the lights than they are the other ones in Japan because they're selling out.
Yeah, and they just came out with the new rose-colored one. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that one looks cool. And then they got an Animal Crossing one coming, a week before Animal Crossing comes out. So,
but that's the standard style Switch, right?
That's the standard Switch. Yeah,
it's got like the line. What is it? Like a sea foam and like a like a light blue as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's got the like the light blue, or maybe I don't even know if you'd call it teal or what. And it's got
Yeah.
the Nook family on the dock. It looks really cool. And then on the back, it
Hmm.
has like a embossed islands on it, and glossed islands on the back. I mean, it looks cool if you're a hardcore fan of Animal Crossing. I mean, I like
Yeah,
Animal
which
Crossing.
I am not.
I like
I
Animal
don't really
Crossing
care.
enough. I don't, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't buy an Animal Crossing themed system for it. But I'll
Sure,
buy the
and I
game.
mean, right, and I get the appeal. I don't know. I'm not into those monotonous kind of games where you do a lot and get a little bit back. I just feel like it's just not enough stimulation
Yeah.
for me. You know?
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. It's grindy. It's a very, very
Yeah.
grindy game. But yeah, I always like the first version. They really haven't.
Hmm.
All the other versions are that they come out with are like, yeah, they're all right. But I really
Sure.
like that kind. This one looks more like the old version, and plus we can play on me and the wife can play together online, so that's cool. So she wants a copy of the game. So
Right. I know a lot of people are psyched about it. I mean, I know a lot of people are upset about the pushing back the release date. So the fact that it's coming up soon, I know people are getting
yeah.
pretty hyped up.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. My only complaint is I'm one of the few people that go between uh, switches. So I'll on the road
Mhm.
during the week I play my light, and at home I play my one on the TV, and
Right.
the saves will not transfer between the systems. So the save is
Hmm.
locked to whatever system you play it on forever. And if
That's unfortunate.
yeah, and if the system breaks or something like that, Nintendo will have to move it from the server, and they'll only do it one time to a new console, and that's it.
Mm.
So leave it to Nintendo not to figure out their save whatever stuff. I don't
Well, it
understand.
is what it is. I
Yeah, it
mean,
is what it is, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't hold a grudge. Is
sure.
As far as pickups go, one is a pickup. One was sent to me for a review, but they're both from the same company, and they're both kind of the same thing. Retrobit has been sending me their controllers, their Bluetooth controllers for review, and they actually sent me one of their Saturn 2.4 gigahertz controllers for review.
Nice.
What's awesome about these is there's no lag with them because they're 2.4 gigahertz, unless you have something
Hmm.
else in the the house that might interfere with it. But it comes with a adapter for it as well, which is kind of funny because this is 2.4 gigahertz, which is better than Bluetooth, so you can actually
Hmm.
get a better connection with your console than you could with a regular controller.
And it's a sexy controller too. That
It
translucent
is.
blue is
Yep.
sharp.
They sent the translucent blue. Feels a little light compared to the
Hmm.
Bluetooth one, but the Bluetooth one had rumble in it, which is what made it a little
Oh, okay.
heftier.
Sure.
But yeah, these are like 1-to-1 molds of what the original molds were. It does have a home and a back, or a home and a select button. So when you're using it on the Switch or PlayStation, you can
Sure.
you can use that. What's really cool about it is it comes in these. They come in these awesome. So I got that from Retrobit, and I appreciate them sending that over. But the other one that I wanted was the Genesis one, and Amazon had them on their flash sale. I don't know. It was after the first of the year,
Hmm.
and I think they had them for $25. So they're like regularly 35 or something like that. So I got the 6-button Genesis one, and of course it's just
Nice.
like the other one. It's got the Genesis
Right.
adapter and thing, which you can use it on a Master System as well, which is cool.
Hmm.
But same kind of setup. They didn't have the cool translucent blue one, so it's just a solid black like the original. But
That's still
again,
pretty cool.
yeah, I mean, still the buttons are there. That's even got the top. It's even got shoulder buttons. What's funny is the other day when I streamed test footage for the Retro Tank, just dinking around with it. My
Hmm.
Saturn controller had not. I didn't charge it. Apparently, it didn't have a charge on it. So I paired my Genesis controller to the Saturn adapter and played Saturn games with the Genesis controller,
Nice.
which was kind of different. It was weird to
Sure.
play like that, but not not that different. Button layouts all the same, but
Well, yeah, yeah. It's similar.
these things are tremendous. I mean, there is like zero input lag with them. A lot of times with the 8-bit DOE stuff, and with the Bluetooth adapters that they make, sometimes, especially on this bigger TV, I can sense a little bit of lag with, when they jump. I can kind of go, oh, there's a little second lag. So playing games like Revenge of Shinobi or Mario, where you got to be kind of precise when you jump sometimes, I could tell a difference between these controllers and the Bluetooth controllers. As much as I like those Bluetooth controllers because I like the weight of them. But I really like the 2.4 gigahertz. They are really nice because they are just absolutely zero, lag controllers, which is nice. At Home Gamer,
Right.
I will tell you why I have a Switch Lite and a regular Switch at home. I travel for work, so I'm on the road 5 days a week. So not only do I carry a book bag style suitcase with my clothes in it, but I also carry a laptop as well in that suitcase, which is very heavy. And when I was carrying my regular Switch around with me, that was just more weight in that book bag. It feels a lot better, and it's just one less brick that I have to carry around in my book bag. Plus, I don't mind the smaller screen when I'm on the road. When I'm at home, now my regular Switch is a docked only Switch. I don't even have the Joy-Cons out. They're put up in a drawer, so move saves back and forth. Pokemon doesn't allow cloud saves, but you can still physically transfer it over Wi-Fi to the other console, so it takes like 5 more seconds to do that. So it's just more of a personal preference for me to not have to carry one more heavy piece of equipment with me, since I'm carrying phones and chargers and laptops and a big brick and tons of clothes and all my toiletry bags, and that's why I do it. Even though I know the Switch is a handheld system, I prefer the Switch Lite for traveling. So
Makes sense.
yeah, and a lot. If you listen to the other podcast, we've talked about it 100 million times
Yeah.
while I did it. But I didn't intend to do that. But after it came out, and I kind of went, well, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll do that. But yeah, I know. And like I say, I'm one of that 1% that does it. So not many people do that. But and in some households, well, like your household, you have, how many you have? You have two. You have three in your house, right?
We
You
have
two
three,
lights
yeah.
and
And a standard. Yeah. I got the OG, and the wife and kid both have their own lights. So I got mine back.
I have an OG, a light, and then my wife has an OG. So we have three too, but we only have two people.
Right.
Go figure. So, but one thing that I wanted to mention in news before we get to the main topic, because we talked about these guys last week, Analog NT. Shortly after we had our show, actually, it was only a couple days. I guess it was last Saturday. And they would send you a new one. They didn't even want them back. You didn't even have to go to a website to apply to say, hey, I want another one. They're just literally mailing everybody out that bought one another one when they become available. There was something with it that, all they said was it could damage the console. Kind of stinks because a lot of people were waiting a long time for those,
And some of them finally just got theirs, and that's like, whoa, hey, you don't want to use poison for your console.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people have kept them and put them up on display with games in them, high quality and high standards of or two consoles, or maybe they used cheap parts this time around. Who knows? Or it could be a bazillion things. Like I said, they never said. But if you're one of the people,
I mean, they're probably gonna a decent hit on this, having to essentially, they were already running short on parts. Now they're having to duplicate their, or double their production. And
yeah, and
that's
and it'll be 30 days at the earliest. And this was before, a lot of places were shutting down for the coronavirus.
Right.
So who knows
Yeah.
if it's a factory that's over there in China where they're having to close down, it may be even longer before they get it. So
it's unfortunate.
yeah, it is. It sucks, and just to let
Well, at least at least they're making good on it, though.
Yeah.
And they're offering to send a new one free of charge. It's not going to completely make up for it, but at least they're trying.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the good thing.
Mm-hmm.
They fessed up, and they fessed up pretty quick. It was
Yeah,
less
they
than a
caught it and
week.
they were like, "All right, hit the
Yeah,
brakes." Yeah,
which was definitely good. So hopefully the other two that came with that set work.
yeah.
I don't know how many people out there actually have SG-1000 games to do a lot of testing of it on, but
Hmm.
we'll see. I never did go on eBay and see if there was a lot of those come up. People trying to get rid of them.
Oh yeah, yeah, because it came with it.
Yeah, regardless, a lot of people didn't want it. They just wanted the Game Gear, and that was it. Which I'm
Hmm.
guessing that's why they bundled it together, because they knew that those were going to
Right.
set
Yeah, we talked
probably.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, how many people are really going to buy those? You got to justify the cost.
If I had one, I would probably start buying the games. That's the only reason I
Sure.
don't buy
Yeah.
the games, is because I don't have a system to play them on, and I really
Hmm.
don't feel like tracking down another system and stuff like that. They're nothing.
No, I don't blame you.
It would be like I said, if I had one, I had a system like that, and had one, maybe I would buy the games. But yeah, that's the big news thing that I could find this week. But the main topic this week that I kind of wanted to touch on, especially we've already got a topic for the next show, and I thought, well, this would be a good one to start with and then lead into next episode, is elitism in the retro gaming community. And that's what I follow a lot of people on social media in the retro gaming community. I know you do too.
Hmm. Right.
A lot of the people that I follow are most of the guys that do a lot of the work in the gaming community, as far as cataloging information, coming out with mod chips, and new ways to do things, and bringing out video enhancement utilities and things like that.
Sure.
That's what I follow. I kind of get a news to kind of stay up on what's coming down the pipe with, what's the latest and greatest thing I can play my games on, or ways I can play my games, or way I can get a better picture out of it, or something like that. Because I don't know, I've kind of gotten into that here. I never used to be. I didn't really care. If you'd asked me 4 years ago if I'd cared if I had a PVM, or I had a device that would let me play games on my LCD TV, I would be like, man, I don't care. I'll just plug them in like how I got them, and that's fine. But
Just play them on any old TV. I was the same a couple of
yeah,
years ago. It's a rabbit hole, man. It's a
oh yeah,
slippery slope. You start, ooh, I want to get a better PVM. Ooh, well, now I need to upgrade all my connections, and now I need a better this. Now I need a
yep,
better that. Oh, but then my audio needs a little bit of bump, so I better do.
yeah. It's
It never ends.
it's huge, and that's one of the things I want to talk about on the next episode, is actually getting into
Sure.
starting to get into retro gaming for the first time, or upgrading, not just a casual, gamer, but you want to take the hobby a little more seriously, as far as, how you could do things, if you want to play on a tube,
Right.
or if you want to play on that. But that's
Well,
for,
let's elaborate on
yeah.
on this topic a
But
little bit. Like, so when you say elitism in the retro gaming community, like give me some examples. Like, what are you talking about here?
Well, what I see as elitism is groups of people who are kind of quote unquote famous in the community, I guess you could
Hmm.
say. A lot of people look to them to say, "Hey, what do you do? What do you do
Right.
to get this, or how do you do it to get that, or what do you do to clean games?" That was one of the topics that I was watching people explode on the past day and a half on Twitter. Is he, who is a gentleman who runs a website, Retro RGB, that compiles a lot of how to get the best quality out of your retro console, whether you're using a PVM or OSSC or a FrameMeister or whatever. I mean, if you need any
Hmm.
kind of questions about how do I connect my TV or my console to the TV and get the best possible picture out of it, that's the place to go, because they've got it from
Right.
the very basic all the way up to the crazy expensive $400 thing that'll do it. So The HD Retrovision guys who do the component cables,
Right.
and DB Electronics. He's a gentleman out of Canada who does a lot of different tools and mods as far as like playing imports or getting RGB out of your system. He's the one who
Okay.
made the adapter for the TurboGrafx 16 that you can plug in the back, and it'll do component, S video, and composite with like Genesis cables. He made
Okay.
that. That was his claim. They all do a podcast together, and I don't watch their I say podcast, their live stream show that they do. They're very technical with things, and they jump down rabbit holes and they start talking about stuff that I don't understand, because they're all electricians. They're all educated, trained in electrical stuff, and I am not.
Sure. Same.
But this he mods consoles. You could send him your console to him and pay him X amount, and he has chips and mods and stuff like that. Well, somebody was sent in their NES for a RGB mod, and it was intermittently not playing games. Well, he posted on Twitter and said, look at this corner. There's white stuff in this corner. That's Brasso, and it's ruined the pins of this thing, and this is why you should not use Brasso on your games, and blah, 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 blah. And in the back of my head, I'm going, if you're putting enough Brasso on your cartridge that there is that much residue that it gathers in the corners of the thing, you're doing it wrong to begin with.
I mean,
and he's a staunch don't use Brasso to clean your games. I have been buying retro video games since the 90s, and I have always used Brasso. Very sparingly use Brasso. Now,
sure.
I don't use
just a
ton
tiny
of it.
little dab.
A tiny dab will really go a long way. But the big thing you have to remember when you use Brasso is when you get done polishing up those things, taking a cloth, and I mean polishing them till they shine, take some rubbing alcohol and go back over it and wipe all that residue off so it's not on there.
Or you have to clean it.
Or you can use Bright Boy, which is the same thing. It doesn't have the residue, but still, you do the same thing. You isopropyl, or as I use, denatured alcohol, to cut that stuff off. There's lots of games that I've gotten that just absolutely will not work. He's staunch on like erasers and the fiberglass pins. And the fiberglass pins are great, but the trouble is with the fiberglass pin is if you get it too close to a contact, it will destroy that contact. I mean, a trace. If you get it too close to a trace and it rubs that trace off, that cartridge is dead. I mean, those things are, a fiberglass pin is pretty much sandpaper, microscopic sandpaper in little brushes. I mean, that thing will I could rub paint off of plastic with it. Which, I have one, but I've used it once or twice on games. I just don't like using it. It's just, I don't like it. But go ahead.
I mean, I just normally use the alcohol, but if you have a trouble cartridge that just really won't do what it's supposed to, then like you said, just a tiny little dab of Brasso on a Q-tip, get it on both sides, and then wipe it up as best as you can, and then go over it with the alcohol again, because you're cleaning it. The Brasso is not going to clean the cartridge. It's going to polish up and remove a bunch of the stuff on it, but it's going to leave its own leftover stuff. You got to clean that leftover stuff off.
I mean, Brasso does remove a little layer of brass. That's why, that's the point of it. It smooths it out, gets rid of pits, stuff like that. I mean, I've had games that are just absolute garbage. And, some of them I've showed you, hey, look, I picked this up, sent this picture. Look at this thing.
Look at this mess. Looks like it's been dunked in a pool.
Yeah. But I scrubbed that sucker up, and it works. There was one game that I got that just never worked. It was a Game Boy Advance game. And the only way I ended up one day just going, you know what, this game doesn't work. I'm going to do whatever I can do to try to get it to work. I tried reflowing all the pins. So eventually what I ended up doing was throwing it in a vinegar bath. Ugh. Straight vinegar. No, not diluted with water. Just threw it in there, straight vinegar. Put the lid on it. Left it for, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes. Came back. rinsed it off with water, dried it with a hairdryer real quick, popped it in, and I'll be darned if that sucker didn't work, and it's worked ever since. So there was some
Crazy.
little piece of corrosion somewhere that I couldn't see that was causing it not to work. But, some people are like, well, if you just use isopropyl and an eraser, and if that doesn't take care of it, then, well, nothing will. Well, I don't buy that.
I don't use erasers.
I don't either. I don't use erasers. I've tried. I used to, and it was a lot of work. And I would wear out a lot of erasers before I would really clean enough games to justify buying those erasers. But, if somebody, getting back to my point of what I call elitism, is somebody says, well, I do this, and this is how I've always done it, and it works. And people online go, nope, that's wrong. That's wrong because so-and-so said it. You don't want to do it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. If it's a game that you're personally going to keep, who cares how you clean it? It's your system. If you tear it up, then you know what? You tore it up, and you're not going to blame anybody else. Yeah. It's like these pound cables or these other cheap cables that come out. Nothing aggravates me more than when people in the gaming community harp on people who say, I bought the pound cable and it works great. It looks perfect on my TV. And they just come in and go, no, those things are garbage. What you really need is X, Y, or Z. And you would see that these are such a better product. Well,
there's a good way and a bad way to pitch that advice.
Right.
I mean, first of all, it's unsolicited, which a lot of people don't appreciate to begin with.
And that's the way a lot of this elitism stuff is. It's just unsolicited. I know what I'm talking about because I'm smart.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there's a better way to put forth that information. Be like, oh, those are good, and if you decide to upgrade from there, I would recommend, but not be like, no, that's trash. You want this one because those ones are they're not as good. Like, who cares?
Yeah, and I admit they are trash. I mean, I'm not going to deny they're not trash, but you know what? Not everybody in the world can afford to take their old NES that's not a one chip, and then go, well, you know what? I'd really like to get it to look like these emulators look like. Well, if you want to do that, then what you have to do is you have to send it off and have it modded, have a chip put in it that'll boost the RGB, and then then you got to get the right output cables. So you either got to get the HD Retrovision cables that are $65, and that's not even counting what the price is for the mod. Most mods, those mod chips are around $35. Somebody will probably charge about $50 to put it in, then $65 for an HD Retrovision cable. Then you have to get a RetroTink 2X to take the component to HDMI. Then you could plug it into an OSSC that'll upgrade it to 1080p, which is another $200, and your RetroTink's $129. And it's not everybody wants to go through all the hoops and ladders. They just want to play games from their childhood on a TV.
Well, yeah, and I see a similar type of elitism, I guess you could say, with some people who are, and don't get me wrong, I don't play emulation. I like playing on original consoles. That's my bread and butter. I feel like I've said it a million times, if I just download the ROM for an expensive game, I'm never going to own that expensive game. But I want to own that expensive game one day. XYZ, whatever.
Right.
But you have these hardcore console purists that look down on, emulation, if you beat it on an emulator, you didn't really beat it, or it's that's not the way it's meant to be played, it doesn't count, or it's like a lesser experience. And it's like, dude, I'm just happy people are enjoying the games.
And why is it not going to count? Is there a video game council
who's keeping
somewhere?
Score? Right.
Is there a council of 5 that say, I am sitting on top of a hill and I will tell you that emulation is not the way to play games?
Right.
I've never understood that kind of thinking, and I see it all the time. Adam Korlick is a YouTuber, and I really enjoy his videos. He's a Dreamcast lover, a Sega lover, big into Shenmue. In fact, when the whole Shenmue 3 press stuff started coming, Sega came to him, and he was almost, I guess you could call, like, their ambassador. They sent him to Japan. They sent him to Europe to, do all these things for online, to play the game early and talk to Suzuki and stuff like that. And and he's just a guy who has an apartment in Chicago that, runs videos out of his, his extra room. And, he's not the most technical guy. He was the one that first turned me on to VGA to HDMI for the Dreamcast to get the best picture out of it.
Okay.
And I still use the VGA to HDMI he recommends. Recommended from years and years and years ago. I mean, there's been some other ones that's come out since then, but it's like, you know what? This is where I want it. It's good, and I don't.
It works for you.
Yeah, it works for me. I'm not going to spend $89 to buy something else. Now, I will buy the HD Retrovision cables whenever they decide to bring those out because they're on the works for them. But anyway, that's another story. But and I forget what it was that he reviewed, if it was the pound cables or something like that. I think maybe it was the pound cables. I can't remember now. It was a couple months ago. But anyway, so he reviewed the pound cables, said, hey, if you're just a casual gamer that likes them, these are fine. There's no, go buy them. You'll be happy with them. If you're just wanting just to play your games. Well, these higher up people and the elite people in the retro game community absolutely lambasted him, going, how dare you tell people that these are good? They're trash and garbage and they should not be on the market. And, you didn't tell them about the lag that it induces and this and that and that and this. And I mean, the same people that were yelling at him on Twitter for his review of this were the same people that he does conventions with and sits at the same table with on panels and talks to them.
Yeah.
And they threw him under the bus, and he was blocking them right and left. And then the elite people were like, oh, well, look, he's blocking me, so he knows I'm telling the truth, and he just doesn't want it. No, he just doesn't.
No, he just doesn't want your drama.
Yeah, he doesn't need the drama. He doesn't need somebody jumping down his throat about
that's
it.
senseless.
And that's what aggravates me with people who are quote unquote the elite people in the retro gaming community that jump all over people like that. Because what happens is there's people that follow them, to a T,
they said it. This is the do-all.
This is the Bible. Yeah. And then what do? They pile on top of that person that they're piling onto. And it's like, dudes, let the internet just, why can't we all just be loving people that just like to be a community? Why do we have to jump all over each other? I get pissed at things that I see on the internet, and I'm like, I roll my eyes and go, oh my gosh, if there's anything that I've ever seen so fake as this, and then I move on with it. I mean,
right.
I don't know. I just hate it because so many people look up to some of these people, and then they act that way. It's like,
you're setting a bad example.
I think so.
If you're in a position where people look to you for an intellectual opinion on this subject matter, whether it be something like global economy or something like video games, like we do, it's like you owe it to them to not be a douche and not just like act out to people for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I totally
it's
agree.
Like,
I mean,
bad message.
Yeah, the Pat the NES Punk. I like Pat. I like his
Pat.
books. He's a cool guy, and he's the same way. He just absolutely does not understand sometimes when people just absolutely go back crap crazy over some people. It's like, why are you doing that? I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's one of the things that aggravates me in the past 2 weeks. It's like, these are people that I want to follow on Twitter because they're always good about, well, here's the new product. I made this. Then everybody in the community goes, "Dan, that's awesome. That is exactly what we've been wanting, and it works good." And then you see them just take the opportunity to drag somebody through the mud, and they don't see it as dragging somebody through the mud. They see it as bringing awareness to, the proper way to do things. And I'm like,
well, like I said, it's all in the delivery. There's a way to do it. You can't call foul if you come at somebody offensively against their opinion and then get upset when they retaliate or when they have a problem with it. Like, oh, well, I'm just trying to help you. Like, no, you're not. No. You're just trying to wave your collector wiener out there and say, I know more about this than you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's all it boils down to. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Who cares at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean that's just it. It doesn't matter. But it's like, and what's bad is As soon as I see the post, I click on the thread. I'm like, why am I doing this? I know what it's going to be.
This is just going to piss me
Yeah,
off.
it's
Why
just
am
going
I
to piss me
bothering?
off.
Yeah.
Why am I bothering? Oh, well, I'll just do another. Oh.
I can't believe he said that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
No,
and
I'm not.
I never do.
Yeah.
I never put my 2 cents in. You know, I did the other day on the Brasso thing when somebody went, here's how I do it, and I do it the exact same way. And I said, you know what? I've done it the exact same way for 20
For
plus years,
right.
and it's always worked, and that's the way I'm going to do it until it doesn't work anymore, you know. And I've never tore up a console. I've never, but
Mm-hmm.
I also keep my consoles meticulously clean too. You know, about
Sure.
every 3 months, I'm blowing canned air in there. I'm taking, you know, alcohol and because I don't want these things to. You know, I don't play them every day, so I don't want them just sit here and collect dust, you know, and get down in there
Right.
and ruin something. But you know, I am fine with however, you know, if you're playing retro video games, I don't care how you're playing them. As long as
Yeah.
you're playing them and you're enjoying them, who
Yeah.
cares?
Just share the love. Enjoy the
Yeah.
games. That's what it's all about. That's what That's what we should be clinging
Yeah.
onto as far as a community, rather than squabbling about who's got the best way to do
Yeah.
this or whose method of doing that is better. It's
There's a
like just.
there's enough of squabbling in the video game community as a whole with
Mhm.
fanboys of PlayStation and Xbox and
Oh
Nintendo
yeah, the
to
console
even
wars,
oh
man.
my
Yeah.
gosh, this whole
Still a real thing.
oh whatever it is there's when people I used to do that all the time. People be like, well, we're in the middle of a console war with Xbox and PlayStation. I'm like, you people don't even know what a console war was. I grew up in the Genesis and Sega days, and
Right.
some of the ads they ran with each other were just
Cutthroat. It was
Yeah.
cutthroat. It was the Wild West.
yeah, and nobody cared. You know,
Yeah.
of course, we didn't have the internet where we could all go on and fuss about it. You know,
Well, you know what they say: when there's competition, the consumer is the one who wins. I
oh
mean,
yeah, absolutely. And you look at the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, it absolutely we as a consumer have won because you got PlayStation.
Sure.
Yeah, they dominate. I mean, you know, they outplayed, they got great first party games, blah 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 blah. But you look on the Xbox, we got Game Pass, $15 a month. I can play one of 100 games, you know, first party games, you know, Witcher, all these
Mhm.
great games, and all I got to pay is $15 a month just to download it and play it, and then when I'm done, I can erase it and move on to another game. It's like the Netflix of games. That's what I want.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's great. But you know what? I still have my PlayStation 4. I still buy PlayStation 4 games, but I also don't go out waving a banner.
Yeah.
My banner's still the Sega Dreamcast. Screw you guys. That's my banner.
Uh,
But
representing
you know,
the swirl,
yeah.
bitches.
Yeah, well, you know, and it's like when you know, I take the example of when your TV was starting to go bad, and you just offhandedly mentioned to me when we were chatting one day that your TV was going bad, and I was like, hey, have you thought about a PVM? Yeah,
Like, yeah, I thought about it. I've been thinking about leaning towards doing that. That'd be the next logical upgrade. And yeah,
yeah, you know, but you know, never did I come at you and go, oh, the PVM is the way to go. You know, it's the way to play if you're a gamer. You have to play on a we'll change. There we go. You were kind of all gurgly, so I changed the server there. So we may be getting some lag with you. I don't know. But
sorry.
no, you're fine. It's not you. It's I just realized I was in the central thing, so I'm surprised it was going as good as it was. But I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I'm not going to come at somebody, and you know, it's like, you know, I know you prefer to play on, you know, monitors. That's fine. I do too. That's my way I like to play, but I also like to play on my LCD TV just out of convenience, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
So
whatever. That's how I want to do it. My dictate how your time, you know, like how you spend your recreational time with your video games. As long as you enjoy it, how who am I to say how you doing it is wrong?
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not my place to say it. So hang on. I am going to call you back real quick because you are super good. I'm going to call you right back. We're just going to do it right in the middle of the show. I don't care. Yeah, it don't matter. We're going to just cut it and go right back to it and see if it'll clear up any there.
Yeah, I don't know if it will.
I don't know. You got the weather down there, so when the
No,
cold
we don't have
air
any.
comes to the Carolinas, everything kind of stops sometimes. So
Mm, nah, it's been
there you go.
fine today.
Yeah, and there you go. Now you're back to normal. So sometimes you got to purge that RAM and let it breathe again. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I am not going to tell anybody that they're not doing it the right way or the wrong way. Will can I recommend other ways to do it that are affordable?
Oh, absolutely,
Absolutely,
sure.
because I am the one who will find the most affordable way to do it,
Hmm.
or I try to anyway. You know, anymore I'm HD Retrovision cables, RetroTink. And when I'm sitting here at the house and I want to, it was like the other day when I sent you that picture and went, "Hey, how do you like when I'm putting my PVM on this rack? Does that look good?" And you're like, "Oh no, you're not
Yeah.
gaming on racks. You're not gaming on PVM." Nope, I just want something I can wheel in and wheel out. That's all I want.
No, it's a good idea. It's not a
Yeah,
bad way to go,
you know.
honestly.
But all I'm saying is be cool with people. There are
Yeah,
so many ways to get absolute great ways now. We live in a time where there is a plethora of different ways to be able to get your console, on your TV. Whether it's a pound cable, that's the cheapest way to go and not the greatest quality, but still will get the job done if you don't mind, the colors not being right. You could even, we've got mini consoles now, like the Genesis Mini, the NES, and the Super
yep.
NES Mini, that you could still play games on. If you want to buy a Retro Pi, a Retro or a Raspberry Pi and put Retro Pi on it, that's an excellent way to play games with
You've got
emulation.
flash carts as well.
Yeah, flash carts on
Yeah.
your regular
There's
consoles. I mean,
there's a million ways to play, and no one way is better than the other.
no, and it's not my job to tell you which way is better than the other. But
No.
yeah, there's just some people out there that will. And it just
Well, you know how it is. Some people will automatically think that their preference is, it's that's the whole thing about it. It's a preference. It's your opinion. It's not a fact.
right.
It might be the best for you, but it's not going to be the best for everybody.
Right. Well, and okay, I'm going to go. Oh well, you need to buy a FrameMeister. Okay, them things are $300, $400, $500. I don't have
Yeah,
three
for
or
real.
four, $500. If I did, if I had $500 to throw away and a wife that wouldn't kill me if I did, then I would. Sure, I would buy one.
Yeah, why not? And I'll go out and buy me a little Samson while I'm at it.
Well, yeah.
It's just that's pennies a day.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand. Hey, if you're a streamer and you got a Patreon and people are paying you money, and you can afford to upgrade your equipment like that, go for it. But if you're just a small streamer or just somebody who just wants to casually play games, man, there's so many great ways. I mean, the HD Retrovision cables to me are still one of the best because if your TV has component in and it's those cables are compatible with your TV, which by that I mean if your TV will accept a 240p signal, there is no better way to play on your LCD TV. And those things are $65 a pop, but you only need two. You need a Genesis one and an SNES one, and that's all you need. Because you can buy an adapter for PlayStation 1. You can buy an adapter for a Sega Saturn. If you buy an adapter for the TurboGrafx, it will let you use the Genesis cable on there. So, I mean, there's all kinds of ways. The only one that really sucks is the NES. Because you have to, if you want to use that, you have to get that thing RGB bonded, which, I still, if you've got the money to get it RGB modded, I highly recommend getting it RGB modded because you'll never see a better crisp picture out of that thing unless you go with the HDMI mod. But,
Whoa, John.
That's too
You're
much.
you're pushing your opinion on me. You're getting a little elitist.
Am I getting your? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get elitist. I was just telling you what was better.
Oh wait, is that what that means?
Wait a minute. Let me look up. Yeah, but no, that's just what grinds my gears sometimes online. It's just and yet I still follow these people.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, sometimes conflict makes life a little less boring,
Yep, that is very true. So, but that was what I wanted to talk about this week. So,
next good topic.
Yeah, and then the next episode, I want to talk about all the different ways and the costs. If you're a game, or if you're somebody who wants to get into retro gaming now, because I don't know if looking back on it, I kind of got into retro gaming. Well, I kind of never got out of retro gaming really,
Yeah.
because I grew up in the golden age. But when the when in the late '90s when cartridges were going out and discs were coming in, that's when I jumped on a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I wished I'd have jumped on harder. That at the time it was like,
Yeah.
but because like I got a box
But
copy.
well,
Of, who knew?
yeah. Again, if you knew back then what you know now, and which ones were going to be highly sought
Yeah.
after, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I bought a complete box copy of Final Fantasy on the NES for $15.
Yeah, I got one for $7 at Toys R Us. Legend of Zelda as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've told you the story about when I walked into Magic Mart. That was a store we had here, and back in '99, 2001, something like that, and they had all of them. Black box, and just in a case, and they were all $20 a piece. And I went, eh. But and then next week or next episode, I want to talk about some of the what we'll talk about is some of the challenges of getting into the retro gaming now. With crazy prices of not only games but modding and ways to get the most out of your console as far as picture quality and playing it on modern TVs and stuff like that. So it'll be a good.
It's gonna be a multifaceted conversation.
Yeah, it will be.
In that bubble of convo there. Topic.
But we're going to condense it into an
yeah.
hour.
We're going to try to do what we can do.
Yeah.
We're going to try to cover all the bases. But again, that'll be next episode.
Yeah, that's next episode, which should be 2 weeks from now.
Barring any unforeseen circumstances, as always.
I'm figuring it may have to be a Saturday because the beer cooler resets start, and I'll be in Eastern Pennsylvania from probably Monday to Friday, and I probably won't be at home till late on Fridays. So,
right. Well, we'll figure it out, and we'll try not to make it for if we need to push it back a little bit. Hopefully, it won't be too long. So.
Yeah, no, hopefully not. So, but like I always say, if you follow us at Back to Bits on Twitter, I try to tweet out an hour or two, sometimes 3 before the show, just to make sure everybody is aware what time the show will start, what day it will start on. So, anything out of the ordinary going on for you? Just your regular Tuesday and.
Yeah, I'm working on finishing up. Well, I'm about halfway done with the next D-Pad Danny review video. I just put out one about a week and a half ago for Super Nintendo Space Shooters, so that's a fun one if you hadn't checked that out on my YouTube channel. Yeah. But yeah, the next one will be coming probably by the time the next video, the next podcast, it'll be out. So maybe within the next week or so.
Yeah, awesome. I'm still trying to capture footage for the M Classic. I think I'm just going to have to do a written review and say, footage will come later.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned at this link for footage because it's really taken a long time to capture footage, especially when you got to unhook and hook. And then the other day I hooked it up and I was like, why am I not getting 1440p out of this thing? What is going on? And then that's when I realized that only 2 of my 3 HDMI inputs do 4K. And I was plugging it into an HDMI input that only does 1080. So it was like, you would have thought on a 4K TV in the 21st century they would all be 4K, but I guess not. But who knew?
Who knew?
Yeah, actually, who knew? So, all right, everybody. Well, thanks a lot for hanging out with us for this episode. Like I said, we'll follow us on Twitter at Back2Bits, and you'll know when the next show will go live. If you can't catch us, on the live stream, you can get us on Spotify, you can get us on Podbean, you can get us on iTunes, you can get us on Google Play, anywhere where you get your podcasts, you can find us. So,
indeed,
you can definitely check us out there. So, all right, guys. Well, again, thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys next time.
Later.